Today's matchup. Creator. Classic. Dark. Bunny. Round of 8. Group B.
Africa TV, Freak Up Studio, live. 2023 GSL Season 3.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for waiting. We're going to go to a ZVT now, change it up a little bit from the PvP vibes we had earlier. This is Dark versus Bunny. I think most would agree Dark right now the favorite for the tournament, just based off his past results and how strong he's looking right now.
Yeah, Dark is insanely good. I think he's probably, I don't want to say the smartest, because when I say that, I feel like I'm throwing shade at all the other Zerg players in the world, but he has such a unique and creative approach to the game. I've said this many times on stream, but for me, it feels like Dark and Hero are basically the same person. You watch Hero play Protoss, and it's just kind of crazy, and it doesn't make sense, and at times his mechanics, it doesn't seem like they're the best. His macro isn't exceptional, but he just has such a unique take and this killer instinct that it works. Dark is kind of that for Zerg. I don't think mechanically he's as good as a player like Sero or like Raynor, and sometimes his builds, they don't make the most sense. But he just has this killer instinct and this incredibly unique and creative approach to the Zerg race that it's really refreshing to watch. It's kind of a refreshing just take on the entire faction. Like, you'll see him play a late game ZVT, a situation that a lot of Zerg players will dread. And Dark's like, you know what, no, I can play as cost efficient as the Terran player. I can lean heavily into static defense, into spellcasters, and play the same game that Terran is. And a lot of other players in the world, they struggle to do that, so.
Now, Bunny's had an amazing year. He's looked really, really strong. There is a world where Bunny wins this and takes Dark down. So let's keep our eyes out for that. I think Bunny's also modernized, changed up a lot of his play styles. Yeah. While still staying true to the kind of Bunny we've seen so many times before. And our game is actually now loading up, guys. This is going to be Dark versus Bunny, a best of 3 to see who will move on into the winners match. Face off against Classic here in Group B in the round of 8, the GSL. Let's get into this TVZ.
DKZ Gaming, Dark. Mystery Gaming, Bunny.
All right.
Oh boy, tasteless.
All right, the Bunsters put the barracks in the middle of the map. Now, is it 2 or 3 SCVs? We have the second one coming. I think it is just going to be a 2 racks.
Yeah, I believe so.
Although 3 racks has been a little bit more popular this season in GSL.
Also, it's funny to note the kind of metagame that these players are playing in the early game with the Overlord scouting patterns. Bunny is putting this in the dead center of the map. If there was a drone scout, which, I mean, it doesn't really exist in this matchup, but hypothetically, if there was a drone scout, it would just immediately spot this. If Dark sent his Overlord straight across the map to Bunny's expansion, it would immediately spot this. But instead, Dark is trying to look in these kind of cheeky hiding locations by the third bases.
Off the beaten path. And in fact, you know, had you just right-clicked the, your opponent's side of the map, you would have gone right over this. So this is pretty exciting. Dark is going to be blindsided by this rush. He may suspect it's out of the map. Oh, what?
Man, Dark is smart, actually. So he goes off the beaten path, and then now both Overlords coming in to the center to check. Oh, this is cool. He sees the SCVs, and he's not revealing to Bunny that he knows.
Now, by the way, he doesn't know if it's 2 racks or 3, but being ready for a 2 racks rush, this is suddenly much more doable. First bunker starts.
Bunker on the low ground immediately here. And a lot of drones getting pulled, so Dark, I think he's going to try and just go for the shutdown on this. He wants to delay that bunker as long as possible as 6 Lings are in production, and that's going to mean pulling these drones, trying to get a surround on the Marines. I think, in fact, he has it. Yeah, both Marines getting surrounded.
He's so good with his control.
Wow. That is an
Just
exceptional
shuts that
start.
down. That was crazy.
And the Lings are perfectly timed to kill the bunker as well.
Bunny looks so sad now.
Yeah, that was perfect.
That could not have gone worse, honestly. Now the Lings can probably start to overpower here.
Hey, even if they trade out, you're trading them out with Marines in a situation like this one, which is just fantastic. I think actually he's going to get all 3.
Now that it's a weird spot for the Terran, right? Because now you're just trying to make enough Marines to defend your barracks that are there so you can try to concoct a defense back at home.
Yeah, one of the barracks is going to lift up and go back home, I think. I'm suspecting this barracks is going to just build one more Marine and then do the exact same thing. And back at home, we do have a factory in production. Dark, he did not continue mining gas, so I'm not anticipating a timing attack follow-up from the Zerg in this situation. I think that's smart given how good the Cyclone is now, the new and improved Cyclone.
Right.
At shutting down early game aggression from Zerg. And instead, Dark is going to macro up, but
So,
really, what a beautiful hold.
Yeah, well, just incredible hold. And on paper right now, Dark is in a much better position than Bunny. I think this is playable for Bunny, but really Dark and Zergs of this caliber, this is like the worst possible situation you could be in. Is they've defended your rush, they're ahead, and now you have to figure out how you're going to recover and get into a position where you can win against a player who basically never falls behind once they take the lead.
Yeah, Dark is really quite capable of navigating a game like this one to a win more times than not, even against a player of Bunny's caliber. But Bunny will try to throw a wrench into the machine of Dark. He's going for Cloak Banshees. I'm assuming also with Hellions he might reactor out a couple of Cyclones just for defensive purposes here to start things out. But it's going to be third command center play. Really fast 3CC, so kind of doing everything he can to make up.
We've got 18
economically.
Lings.
Oh, we do have 18 Lings.
So
yeah,
he's
right.
going to try to go for a counterplay. Now, if you're making a Banshee, you can hold this, but, you know, the Banshee's not ideal versus Zerglings, even though the Lings can't attack air. It just takes a long time to take out all the Lings.
Yeah, and it's going to be a couple of Hellions coming out here for Bunny, and because there is no wall here at the natural expansion,
oh my God!
Wow, that's close.
That was so close to just get inside the main.
And oh, he actually is going to let this in? I guess he wants to try and save as many of these SCVs as possible.
Well, can't blame him for that.
Yeah, and actually it ends up being the right call. Had Dart committed to more Lings, though, it could have been very scary.
Yeah. That was not like he's doing it all in. He's got plenty of drones here. But I'll tell you what, he didn't get a lot out of that.
He did get a full scout, though. He saw that it's going to be Cloak Banshees. He knows that it's 3 command center. He knows that it's Hellions being reactored out of that factory instead of Cyclones. And so I think for Dark, being in as advantageous a position as he was, even though, as you said, that wasn't a good trade for him on paper necessarily.
I guess getting the build order confirmed, where you're like, all right.
I think it's a smart play.
It's not a guessing game anymore.
No, and these Spore Crawlers are also placed quite well, too. Even having this one right here between the natural expansion and the third, I like that a lot. Covering the main base and the natural as well. He will lose one of his queens.
A little surprising there.
Oh, actually, no Spore here at the third. I was convinced this would be done.
A little bit of miscontrol there with the Banshee. The Spore is going to be done, but, you know, there's these areas in between the Spores that you can wedge the Banshee in and just basically be annoying.
It's actually really funny that Dark had the Spore Crawler position to be able to spot the Banshee at that location previously, and then he had to move it and try and catch it going into the natural expansion, and then it goes back into the third. And Bunny, despite getting scouted with a Cloak Banshee, is actually getting a fair bit of damage done. I think in total that was, what, 1 queen and maybe 3 or 4 drones?
By the way, 2 eBays are finishing back at home for Bunny, so he's going to have 1-1, but it's actually going to be Dark who's going to be slightly ahead on the upgrade lead.
Yeah, which is not a situation that Zerg often finds itself in, although it does feel like the meta is shifting a little bit. But hold that thought, is there's not really a lot to cover for these Hellions. Link's a little bit out of place, so 4 drones will go down. We'll see how many these Hellions are able to escape. Nice queen block, actually, there on the extractor, able to get the 2nd Hellion, and these Lings should be able to chase down a 3rd.
Yeah, he should be able to kill this one. I was going to say, I'm like, are they ever going to actually touch this Hellion? What's happening here?
The slowest Hellion chases of all time.
So I'm curious if there's going to be some position where Zerg could attack at the 3rd base. Because it's a very upgrade-heavy Terran.
Oh, wow.
Good catch there.
Yeah, that's really smart. Kind of reminds me of Solar with his queen placement there earlier on in the round of 8. Was just so exceptional.
Stuff, yeah. So Bunny's going to move out, which I feel like, well, I feel like he should have been doing this later if he's going to actually commit. He might just be trying to kill off creep, but it doesn't seem like he has a lot, you know?
I think just being in the position that he is, you kind of have to take what you can get. And so if he's fighting off creep, there isn't too much to be afraid of against the Ling Baneling composition with the Marine count that he has. The worst case scenario, he can lift up some of these Marines and take them back home. But he does need some presence on the map here at this stage in the game. And actually, these Banelings coming into the third base. Oh, Bunny keenly aware of that. That was a fast reaction time.
Yeah.
And he's going to try and get some damage done here at the triangle third of Dark. Dark is going for the wraparound here, though. I don't know if he has enough links to actually make it happen. He will be able to section off the siege tank, actually getting a good Baneling connection there.
You know, it's just getting worse here for Bunny. Let's see if he can do something inside the main. Every game, there's going to be one swarm host that's made.
Yeah, actually, this drop is going quite well. Army supplies are quite favorable. Poor Bunny in this moment.
Do we know the one swarm host that he seems to make? This is never on purpose, right? This is never like like I'm trying to mock my player.
It's a good luck charm.
Yeah, it's like a little rabbit's foot or something like that.
Rabbit's foot on a necklace for him. Yeah, there's no way this is intentional. Dark's been needing to update his hockey setup for a while now.
Yeah, the fact that we always have one swarm host accidentally made in the game.
Oh, it's great though. I love it. It's one of those things where you can like cover up the players, and you see the swarm host like, oh, this is a dark game.
It's a dark game. Yeah. There it is. Now, what are you going to do with it?
So much fun. Now, Buddy is posturing outside of the triangle third for Dark. And I'm wondering if he's going to be able to get too much damage done as two Locusts are going to go into the third expansion. The Banshee's ready for it.
I know.
Oh, is he even going to get one SCV? I love this so much. Never change, Dark. There's a reason why you're my favorite Zerg player. All right, Bunny venturing a little bit far onto creep, so Dark is going to be able to section off a good number of those Marines. Good catch for him. Baneling is going to be, or Widowmine, excuse me, able to dispatch a couple of Banelings and Lings there as 2-2. Oh, 80% done here for Dark, but the triangle third a little exposed here. These Banelings, Bunny is not reacting.
What?
How many Marines just went down? That was like 3 medevacs of Marines.
You know, it's so funny. This really, you know, is a good reminder of how good everybody is. This can happen to anybody, but, you know, it's like...
It never does, though.
It never does, because pro gamers are so good, but, like, that was maybe the biggest fail as far as control or just not control at all in this whole season of GSL. Oh, he's getting 2.
He might get 3.
This is the value swarm host. 4 kills. He's still out there.
It's almost as much damage done as Bunny got with his Banshees.
Yeah.
That swarm host.
Maybe we should all be making one swarm host like this.
Maybe Dark is actually just smarter than everybody.
Yeah, he's like, why would I not do this? This is hard to deal with. It's one of those little fires you could start. If they don't deal with it over time, I mean, how much it could spread is kind of crazy.
You ever see these bell curve memes where you have like the 600 elo player? Well, I guess in this case would not be making one swarm host, but you go up into the bell curve with everybody like Masters League and Diamond League.
I know the meme when there's like the guy in the middle of average intelligence who has like the bow tie, and he's like, no, you can't play like this.
No, you can't just make one swarm host and send it across the map. This has to be a mistake. And then there's actually Dark at like 3,000, like 7,000 MMR that's like, actually do just make one swarm host and you get 4 SCVs for it. It was outsmarting everybody here. And he's been able to play a pretty clean game. Honestly, being able to catch all of those Marines with the Banelings makes this a much easier mid-game to navigate. But let's not forget, Dark, he is now on Hive Tech. He's going up to 3-3. I think Adrenal Clans is probably done because I don't see on the production tab. And we even have our first Ultralisks coming out and drop Overlords also in production. So Dark is really playing the game that he wants to play from this position. And I think Bunny is going to have a very difficult time stopping the machine that is Dark. Ultralisk armor also about to complete.
Yeah, big drop coming in here. And when this drop hits, the swarm host's still there, by the way. With the Zerg being maxed out, the Zerg's probably going to try to descend upon the third or fourth, or maybe both.
Oh, and there's a Nidus Canal getting set up, too.
So he's actually going to have some crazy attempt to finish off the Terran here.
Yeah, this is going to pair up really well with the Overlord drop of the main base of Terran, because the Ling should buy enough time for that Nidus to complete pretty much no matter what.
Yeah, and I mean, everything the Terran has is in the middle of the map right now. And he's sending everything back. Now, does the Nidus start in the main?
I think he
Or
do start
does
it in
he?
the main, but
Because I don't see it yet. Now, he's burrowing this everywhere. Oh, no!
my God. It's +3 weapons against denied too.
Well, okay, so he did start the Nidus for him, but it's a little bit late. But the thing is, he might just not even be planning on putting anything in the Nidus and instead doing this counterattack up here. Speaking of which, the big attack at the top, not good enough. Bunny stabilizes, and this game goes on.
Yeah, Bunny now in 4 bases, and the standing army that he has doesn't have a lot of ghosts mixed in with it just yet, but considering the fact that Dark is on 86 workers, I feel like Bunny's in a pretty good position in terms of survival here. If he can try and just really turtle up and play kind of a Maru-esque TVZ game from here on out, there is a chance that he could start to navigate this one back into a win, but I am scared for him. Dark is so good in these kind of situations at just navigating the late game into a position where Terran is really going to be tough. I don't think there are enough failings here to actually get this.
He can't get the planetary.
Maybe he will.
Wait.
There's no SCVs
Then
to
we see
repair.
that one swarm host, that one locust come across the map and descend on the command center and kill it.
Oh, look at this! Bailings paired up with the siege tank. Friendly fire there against 25 SCVs. There's still Lings in the main base that were burrowed from earlier. Bunny is starting to fall apart.
I mean, this is crazy. I don't know how much longer Bunny can last here, but I mean, the number of things that are going on, like the Observer can literally almost not keep up with it. And even though Terran's maxed out, I'm just worried, okay, he's gonna get through here again.
Yeah, look at the army supplies right now. It's 140 for Bunny, but it feels like he has basically nothing, because everywhere that Dark is attacking, like in the natural expansion, like in the main base with this Nidus, is where the Terran army is not.
Look at a burrowed Ultralisk. Looks like a Hamburglar or something. It's just like, it's like, don't notice me. There's a giant crater here.
I'm pretty sure they also buffed the Ultralisk burrow and unburrow speed in the most recent patch, so it's cool to see that get utilized in a very niche way here. 50 SCVs have died, by the way. Bunny right now is on 25 workers and still is almost maxed. But the pressure coming in from Dark is so unrelenting. Oh my God. Bunny is just getting outplayed in a pretty incredible way here. And I know that the mid game and the early game did not go the way that he was hoping for.
Man, that was...
But that was so sick from Dark.
Dude, the way that he just... Like, everything started to go wrong for the Terran. The Lings run burrowing in the main. We had Banelings connecting onto workers. We had Lings spilling through the natural. And it's funny, yeah, the army, even though Bunny's maxed out, it's like, my God, where's his army in so many of these moments? And by the way, like, I think something like 45 SCVs were killed in those final moments. So
even more, I think it was like 55 plus.
I mean, yeah,
it was insane.
Crazy. So, I mean, Bunny, I'm not sure if he's going to use his break or not.
I think now would be a good time to use it. If you
Yeah,
haven't
I mean,
any shoes.
It's yeah, you know, it's going to be a tough one here for Bunny. We kind of expect Dark to win. The fact that Dark shut down the rush like he did was pretty incredible. I'm actually a little bit surprised we're seeing people still go with the 2 racks over the 3 racks, by the way.
Yeah, the 3 racks, I feel like, from the games I've seen, is just better, yeah.
Yeah, well, also it's like, are you really going to want to try to play from behind against Dark? I mean, if you're going to do that, wouldn't it just be better to, like, do something with a little bit more momentum?
Either win the game or lose it outright.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, seems like we are going to be going back into that game a bit faster than we expected. Bunny just taking a very brief moment to collect himself on stage.
He basically stood up, stretched his legs, and sat back down, and is going to go into game 2. Although I'll tell you, man, especially after that last game that we just saw, I really have a hard time imagining Bunny winning here. Like, I'm so impressed with Dark.
Yeah, that was a lot of...
Even the 18 lings that he made to run in to kill some SCVs, but also
smart.
scout. It's like, okay, I know what kind of game this is. Right, guys, we're gonna go into game 2 now. Let's do it.
DKZ Gaming Dark. Mystery Gaming Bunny.
I feel like I see Bunny do that wrist shake more than anybody else.
He was doing a lot even before the...
It is actually one way to kind of stretch and loosen up your wrist.
I was going on command center first as well.
I think it's fine.
I think it's smart.
It makes sense. You rush in one game, go for CC first in the other.
Does give us a little bit of downtime, but going back into game number 1.
He is over 9,000.
Does certainly feel that way. Oh, I like this drawing there. Oh, we even got a hot 6, Chuck. Let's go.
Hot 6.
Let's go. I like that the GSL trophy too right there he's holding up. Hey, could be his to win. He's playing out of his mind right now. I mean, Dark really knows how to play a winning position and just translate it into a win.
Yeah.
And not give up any steam. It kind of felt like...
It's very clinical how he plays.
And what was the name of the AI that was playing and eventually beating everybody? It was like AlphaGo or AlphaZero or something that was playing StarCraft.
Or StarCraft?
Right.
Yeah, why do I suddenly not know the name of that? That was like big news.
I'm putting you on the spot right here, but it was Alpha something.
AlphaGo was the one that won in Go.
Oh, so probably AlphaZero, I would think. But in any case, the point that I'm making is, yeah, they had to like limit the APM, otherwise it would just like micro-blink.
Oh yeah, well it would just be able to do everything. Yeah.
Be able to do everything. I feel like that is what AlphaZero, AlphaGo, whatever you want to call it, would do if it was playing Zerg, because the way that Dark was playing that mid game and that late game, he was burrowing Ultralisks, he was doing massive Ling drops, he would, after the drop, burrow Lings in different sections of the Zerg or the Terran base to set up for Nidus networks later on. He wouldn't unburrow all of them at the same time, he would unburrow half of them to start picking off SCVs and add-ons. Simultaneously, he's going in with a Swarm host sending 2 Locusts into the 3rd base. He's doing attacks on the 4th base, the planetary, with Ultras, with Lings, with Bailings to snipe that down. It was so multitasking intensive. And there was a moment of the game where Bunny, it felt like he had, I love this line of sight blocker micro that Dark is doing, by the way, to try and get as much damage done on this Reaper as possible. But it felt like there were so many fires that Dark was setting on Bunny's side of the map. Let's not forget that Bunny had, at one point, almost no SCVs. It was like 50 or 60 SCVs, and he was maxed.
Yeah.
So his army was massive, and he was only on 4 bases, and he wasn't really attacking, and he still couldn't keep up with the multi-prong attacks coming out from a Dark with 90 drones. It was just insane. Dark is so good at playing that kind of game that coming in here as Bunny, I'm not surprised that he went command center first into a really fast 3rd CC, because this is going to set him up for a mid game where I think in theory he should really have a large window with a big economy that he can potentially just close the game out instead of allowing Dark to play that late game that he is so good at playing.
Yeah, you know, Dark is honestly, it's almost unreal watching him play. He's been so solid, so strong. And Bunny, you know, he's improved so much. He's looked like such a good player, but it does just seem like when it comes to late game, Dark is like the master. Like, even using the drops and the Nidus Worms and the Burrow, a lot of times we'll only see like one of those. Like, okay, maybe you're doing Nidus, maybe you did a drop, but you know, he just kind of knows exactly where to put the Terrans so that it's almost untenable, like you were saying. Now, by the way, this super fast early command center is going to be backed up with another pretty quick command center. So, and you see 2 eBays coming down. So the Terran push is going to be a little bit later. I know when we first started seeing a lot of double, like a super quick command center, it was almost always followed up with an all-in, but that seems to be a little bit passé. And instead, we're going to see, you know, a much more heavy macro game as this third command center is about to land.
The question that I have is this going to be a macro game with Bunny trying to truly play the late game, or is this Bunny setting up to have the most powerful economy for a 3-base, effectively all-in style? Because those are really the two roads that you have to go on as the Terran player from here. As the Banshee comes into the third base, Dark notably going for a Roach Warren before double Evolution Chamber this time, so playing a little bit differently from his opening in game number 1. And the big tell for me with Bunny is going to be how many more barracks he throws down behind these additional 2 barracks, because I think those are number 4 and number 5 that he's adding into the mix, which is just a standard macro setup that Terran is going to want to go up to on 3 bases pretty much no matter what. But I wouldn't be surprised, given the way that game 1 went, Bunny throwing down an additional factory and a couple more barracks to just really try and power up and go for a killing blow at some point here against Dark.
Well, the hatchery's taking some damage here. I don't think that he's going to be able to kill this off, but it is a little bit scary here. Bunny's going to have to be pushed away. Keep in mind, oh wait, hold on. Is he going to just try to target it down?
He's doing his best to get as much damage done
so,
as possible.
If you don't kill the hatchery, that's a lot of wasted cloak time. You could have gone for drones or something else of value. So, as long as the hatchery's not killed, that's a huge win for the Zerg. And
sorry, excuse me. I had something to say and then I started choking on my own saliva. But no, to go back to that, it is a win for Zerg right now. But if Bunny actually decides to try and build up to a push on the 4th base,
that's going to be a squishy 4th base. You're right.
Yeah, it's a squishy hatchery unless Dark decides to spend transfuse energy. And I mean, how often have we seen Zergs be able to defend those pushes because they have a healthy number of queens to transfuse roaches or ravagers or even other queens when the push comes out? Kind of reminds me of watching Scarlet versus Marurhold with a high number of queens, even on this map, Alcyone. So it seems like that actually is going to be the focal point here for Bunny. He's pushing out with a healthy number of siege tanks. Even the Banshees joining the mix. We have a handful of
doing the Bunny. He's got the tanks in the medevac. That's the signature move.
He's going to go for the 4th hatch, but there's a lot of roaches and ravagers coming in from actually both ramps here. So this is a masterful arc for Dark. Biles coming down, connecting with some of the bio on the front line, and it feels like Bunny just doesn't have enough here.
Man, he takes the tanks out, and now the Terran army doesn't have any sustain.
And I feel like that fight even happened before 1-1 was fully completed there for Dark. He just took the opportunity to go in. He's pumping 15 drones. A round of 15 drones just popped for Dark, and he's starting the Hive, playing with so much confidence after stopping that push.
He's at 83 workers right now. So, like...
And we have the additional barracks for Bunny, too. There isn't another command center. The additional factory is coming in as well, so
he's committed to a 3-base push, but Dark is growing very comfortably. He's still on 4 bases. He's going to be probably up to 5 or 6 in a few minutes.
Yeah, I feel like that push from Bunny only works if it trades out more cost efficiently with this game plan, because now these additional barracks and factories are coming online, and you just lost so much momentum going for a push on the 4th. He needs to do plays like this dropship to actually snipe some critical infrastructure. Maybe it's going to be Queens. Maybe it's going to be the spawning pool here.
You know, this is actually pretty big. Okay, he's not going to get it. I was going to say, we almost never get to cast a game where Adrenal's shut down. But Adrenal is like one of the great endgame upgrades. So
yeah, and being able to delay that, I mean, should Bunny have been able to snipe it, this is a moment where Zerg kind of wants to pump a lot of links out because you're investing in a lot of high gas units and high gas upgrades like 2-2, eventually 3-3. You want to have some Vipers coming out. Dark even throwing down a Hydralisk Den, so he would love to just continuously pump links here with Adrenal. Unfortunately for Bunny, he was not actually able to get the snipe and set that back, but I'm concerned for Bunny's position, to put it mildly here, after that push on the 4th base got thwarted in really such a convincing fashion that Dark was able to immediately click up the Hive and pump out 15 more drones.
Right. Okay, so, I mean, it's always a bad game for the Terran whenever you see that, like, it's almost like they're playing the game The Floor is Lava whenever they're in a fight. Like, they have to pick up and then try to go somewhere safe. It just shows how much domination that Zerg has on the ground.
Yeah, it's because there's no momentum.
Yeah.
You think back to watching Kira play a lot of his TVZ games, and it still kind of has a little bit of that, the floor is lava-esque element, but he's able to at least trade cost efficiently for a couple of seconds before lifting up, and that allows you to whittle down the Zerg. But in this case, Bunny not able to find too much damage. He is able to catch a couple of units that are pathing around the map in kind of a funky way. Alcyone with the rocks here in the middle, it can be tricky to navigate with your units once you take all these expansions, so Dark is going to bleed out some of his army, and this is a really critical moment now, but those Vipers, very high energy.
Oh my God.
Lightning clouds on pretty much every single siege tank gets
literally every
nullified.
tank, yeah. And with all these Banelings coming in here, it looks like he actually decides once the tanks are gone, just go back and remake. I think that was actually a pretty smart move.
That's
very not overcommit, because that's how you could throw the fight, is that even though the tanks are gone, there's enough sustain here with the Marines. So he's just going to make another wave of Banelings. Bunny's answer to that is to open up the destructible rocks and make a more of a beeline for reinforcements to come in here.
More Ravagers morphing in. A lot of Links in production. Dark is trying to bide his time, waiting for this moment, because there isn't a lot of factory units, and I'm actually surprised that Dark is just going to sacrifice this base. I think he just wants to play this as smart as he possibly can and not really take any risks, because at 76 workers, you can just saturate the space down here at the 6 o'clock position and take another expansion, and instead it's going to be a big counterattack.
Yeah, and I got to say, this is really Dark showing just how smart he is. He's going to be able to go through with those links, maybe get into the main. There's more Banes being made. And this totally takes the pressure off Zerg. The entire army's gone home. He's burrowed Lings here. There's more Banes coming up, and many of them are connecting.
Yeah, a lot of Marines going down, and 5 SCVs, mining completely disrupted.
Look at the minimap now. He's going to go ahead and hit 12 o'clock.
Wow. Man, Dark is just such a smart player. He couldn't do this move unless he sacrificed that base.
Yeah, this is like just some serious big brain stuff.
So we're watching Magnus Carlsen become a StarCraft 2 pro, basically, is what it feels like.
Just the way, because like I think almost every other Zerg out there tries to just recover the hatchery, but he's like, no, I'm not 100% sure about this, so let's actually really beat up the infrastructure back at home. Let's put it back on 3 bases. I'm still ahead. I'm expanding in 2 different directions at once, towards the upper left and towards the bottom right. Lings here again for another attack.
Yeah, they unburrowed, and they're finding more SCV damage. And also, look at the supply right now for Bunny. He's at 168 of 165. So many depots went down during that attack. There's even more Lings getting unburrowed in the natural expansion. Dark is just playing on another level right now in ZVT. I don't know if he could be stopped. I mean, look at this attack. It's just so good for Zerg. He comes in, he kills a bunch of key units, and then just instantly pops out. I love what we're seeing from Dark.
Yeah, I mean, even just this. Okay, so there's been 11 more SCVs killed. Every time the Terran is trying to micromanage the fight up here, again, it's those small fires that get started back at home. If you don't put them out, you know, it's these burrowed Zerglings. Keep in mind, so much of StarCraft is priority. It's about knowing like where you need to focus your attention and then letting other things sort themselves out. And so when the Terran sees the fighting stopped back at home, it's actually the burrow, right? It's not that he killed it, but he doesn't know that. It's hard to keep up. And now we're going to see the flattening of the main push. My God. Wow. Dark is a master. He's just so good.
This is some of the best CVT I have ever seen Dark play. I mean, what an incredible game. What an incredible series from Dark. He's going to come in and get the full surround. Buddy is going to lift off. He's coming to terms with a loss here as Dark is just playing this so well. I got to say, Bunny, that hold better than I thought. Army supplies equalizing a little bit. It might have been a bit of an overextension there for Dark, but I still think he's in a very good spot in this game. Bunny's on the 3-base economy. The Bile's coming down, getting even more units. And I think once the Remax comes in and 3-3 finishes, we will finally see Zerg completely flatten the Terran.
I think so. And I got to point out, both the main and the natural are going to mine out at about the same time. They're almost there, which means we're going to have one working set of mineral patches on one base versus everything that Zerg has. Yeah. Which is crazy. And in fact, this game may just end right now. He might just be able to overwhelm him.
I mean, these are effectively, in truth, these are overextensions that Dark is doing, but his position is just so commanding right now. Even this base getting re-expanded. Dark is take it easy. And anytime you see the Terran just scanning a bunch of bases across the map, he's like, how dead am I?
Yeah. Now that I've finally cleaned up everything in my main, what is going on the map? How much of this does he actually have? Oh boy, he's got a lot.
I feel like Bunny...
Okay, so he's going to flip the command center from the main.
There might be a chance for him, a 1% chance, if he's able to take the fight of his dreams.
There's a burrowed Ling here. He can't land this.
The creep spread for Dark after all these fights is kind of... It has been whittled down quite a bit, but just look at the standing army the Dark has. The army supply is 120, and a lot of that is in Ravagers, which aren't very supply efficient, but Banelings in fact are, and I'm curious to see what the unit tab is, because it feels like Dark has a very healthy number of Banelings, even going for a Lurker Den here. And yeah, 30 Banelings in total, even more getting morphed in. And we'll see if Bunny can defend this position.
This is probably curtains, man. You can see there's so many tanks, just the sheer number of Zerg units. Terran now sub 100 supply. Nothing to protect the tanks. We should have GG any second now. There it is. Dark 2-0's Bunny. And I think we can all walk away from that series saying Dark is clearly the better player.
Yeah, that was an incredible series. And you know, in game number 1, yes, Bunny went for a 2-racks. It got scattered by Dark. He had the perfect response. He got a surround on the Marines, and so he was able to clean that up and then ride the momentum to a victory. But in game number 2, it looked very similar to game number 1, even without that starting advantage. He was just squashed the first big push from Bunny on 3 bases and did not give up that advantage at all. There was some overextensions from Dark, but I think that's just because of how confident he was in his position, where he can really just do anything.
You can see Bunny in the camera shot earlier kind of in this dark state of reflection. Like, he's just better. I don't know what to do. We're going to have the winner's match coming up next, guys. ZVP just around the corner. We'll be right back.
Anytime, any place.